I think I'll start over and explain that a little bit. Zirger Academy, the school that I founded, is essentially a martial arts research and development group. We are JKD based, or Jeet Kune Do based, and that is a philosophy, not a martial art. That's a philosophy that was popularized by Bruce Lee, and he recoined the phrase to be Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist. And the idea is that you study everything, you absorb what's useful, and you discard what's useless for you. And so Bruce Lee passed that on to a fellow named Guru Dan Inosanto. Guru Dan Inosanto has become certified. He has many certifications, but he has 18 certifications that he actually teaches from. He has several others that he's been awarded. And this is the man that I've been building my system on from. So a lot of what we do here is based on something called the Inosanto blend, which is a blend of Jeet Kune Do concepts, which brought in things like Western boxing, fencing, Wing Chun, Muay Thai, Filipino martial arts, Malay martial arts, like Silat, Bondo, etc. And so we try to look for something that's an expression of the full fight in a modern context, looking at all of those subsets. So Colin and Jeff, come up here. This is our typical demo. Yeah? So what it is we're trying to show that a person can go from using double weapons, they can lose a weapon, go to long and short, go to double short, go to anti-hand. I'll just let them go through that. But what you'll see in here is not only are they going weapon versus weapon, but in a lot of cases they're destroying the arm that carries the weapon. And this principle is known as the gunting, which is going to be relevant to what we're doing later on. And thank you very much, guys. The foundation of what we do as demo. But since I literally had to put this demo together this morning, I decided that what I do is I give you an idea of what we do. Because about 6-7 years ago, I realized that I hadn't done Jeet Kune Do yet. Now remember, Jeet Kune Do is a philosophy. I have learned the distillation of my teachers. So I learned the distillation of Makoto Kageyama. I learned the distillation of Paul Goodham. I learned Larry Hartzell's distillation. I learned Guru Dan Inosanto's distillation of all of these martial arts that they'd studied. And then I realized I didn't do Jeet Kune Do. They did Jeet Kune Do, and I worked on their material. Right? So we've been going and looking for other material. I started with Silat, and I'll talk about that more when we get to it. And this last 2 years, I've gone back to the FMA. So anyway, let's take a look at this. This is a really basic drill. Now, this is called Sinawal. So this is from FMA, Filipino martial arts. This is the most basic expression of it. Two people hitting their weapons against each other. In a real fight, you don't hit your weapon against the other person's weapon. You kill the person by hitting them, not their weapon, right? So, but what this does is it gives you basic understanding of how to target, how to see where the lines are coming from. And so they click the sticks and they match the pattern, and this is where things start. Okay? Thank you. Let's switch to the gun tape. Now, what I want to show you today is I want to show you how the blade influences the art, and in particular, the principle of the gunting, or the destruction. Go ahead. This is the basic format. This is the gunting drill with sticks. So what's happening is you're learning how to block, redirect, and counter. Yeah, block, redirect, and counter. Right? And so if we move up to the next person, thank you very much, guys. So the next one here, this is a little bit more realistic. So Colin is using a sword, and he's now showing that they're bypassing the attack, attacking the arm that's holding the weapon. Right? And when this reverses, instead of seeing the percussion version, where he's trying to take the arm out that's holding the sword, yeah, now you'll see the bladed version where you take the arm out that's holding the stick. Thank you very much. That's more realistic because we're not blocking the weapon anymore, right? Now look at this. We've changed it. It's the same drill, but now they've got a non-lethal weapon in the right hand, and they've got a shorter lethal weapon in the left hand. Same drill, but the priorities have changed. And prioritization goes towards the lethal weapon, and the other weapon is used to cover the entry of the lethal weapon. Thank you very much, Sean. That gives you a little bit of an idea of what the Gunting principle is. Some people call it defanging the snake, but the idea is to destroy the arm that's carrying the weapon, yes? So, what comes next? Well, the beginning of the week, on Monday, we do weapons. The next day, we do Jikendo, Filipino martial arts, and then we get into our Muay Thai. So, but this is the JPD class. So, in JPD, can we have the knife desarms? Yeah? So, JPD, we tend to look a lot more at modern combatives, self-defense, that kind of idea, where we're actually blending materials. So, this is a little bit of small circle jiu-jitsu, mixed in with a lot of FMA, and you can see this is some technical disarming where he's using the joint lock and pressure to remove the knife. But that won't work in a real situation because there's not enough deterrent. In this situation, he's been hit, yeah? It's much more likely this is going to work out. In fact, we would probably add a lot more hits to this. For the purpose of our demonstration, you can see that the arm is being attacked to dislodge the weapon. Right? Thanks, guys. So, in the situation where Laura's harassing Chris, she's grabbing at him and stuff, you can see that he's able to remove her grips by punching her in the arm. So there's a little bit of pain, but there's also force going against the direction of grip. Yeah? So this is another self-defense application, the kind of thing that we cover in the JPD class, for that same principle of attacking your arm. All right. So, we have a children's class attached to the Zirger Academy program, and Kai is in our kids class. The children's class is ages like 5 to 10. How old are you? You're 10? Yeah, well, we might let them stay in for another year. So, but we do everything in that class. We do, and the parents train in with the kids. Yeah, and this is part of the reason why we teach them everything. So we do the Jikendo, we do the Filipino martial arts, we do the silat. We let them learn about weapons and so on as well, because the parents are there working with them. But this is an example of how the empty hand stuff goes. Do you know what I'm going to feed you? No. So his job is to not get hit and to hit the targets. He's seen these signals before, so you should do okay. You ready? Great. So, hit this. Good, good. Go. Good. 2. Good. 2. 2. 3. Good. Cover hit. Good. Cover hit. Good. Cover hit. Good. Good. Cover hit. Good. And front kick. Good. Now cross. Good. Bottom weave. Cross. Front. Cross. Round kick. Good. Let's go faster. There you get to see an example of how we'll use our Muay Thai example, for example, to build up striking. Yeah? And that's a little system that I created out of systems that I've learned before. Because I don't really have to teach them how to remember patterns. I can teach them how to respond to different geometry. But we can change that and throw in the knife. And if we do this at a very basic level, look at this. Suddenly, the arms get slashed on the way in. And you just add in the knife, it's the same movements, but we got the Gunting principle happening again. Thanks, all. Woo! So, come Friday and Sunday, we move into our CLAT classes. Yeah? Now, CLAT is the Malay martial art. It's a precursor to the Filipino martial arts because all the Malay people, 5 diaspora moving down from Angkor Wat across the Malay archipelago, there are many, many different types of CLAT. And it's typically very athletic. Now, our first system was Majapahit, and it came from Guru Dana Santo, and it looks like this. And it's like, well, how come this stuff is so... Go ahead and do that, sweetie, right? But this stuff looks like it's very gentle, right? Here, nice and gentle. Yeah. One more time, just another example of the same move. There we go. So how are we demonstrating the principle? Show it. Finger knives, right? See, the Malay martial arts, they have a lot of concealed weapons and so on. So even though he's just touching, well, there's cutting going on the whole time, right? Let's look at another variation. This is Silat Buka Lunkarkan. So this system, high, low-level stuff. This is Indonesian martial arts, and so they will use body weight. But look at this. Dragging the person into multiple elbows. You see the destruction going on against the arm. They're going for the elbow break. There's a strike to the bicep, tricep, and straight to the hip joint right here. Boom! She goes down, she crushes the thigh, hits the balls, takes out the oh, and the ball. Yeah, last one. And you can just see there's so much destruction happening to the limbs that would have brought the attack. Thank you so much. That's excellent. So, did I leave something there? SSBD, yeah. Did leave something there. So another form of CLAT that we're doing is SSBD. This is for Nyan CLAT, the very upright form. But take a look at the way that they use the forearms like hammers. Go ahead. Again. Don't forget you had it here. Thank you. So, and you see this is very much a hammering of the forearms as they go through this system. So this is a system that we work side by side with SPL. And it's one of those ones where we've gone to an original source material to take a look at the way that we can do it. 3 very different forms of CLAT, 3 very different ways of destroying the limbs. Yeah? So, now, last year, I started going back to the Philippines and looking at bringing back my sword arts because I've focused for almost 6 years on CLAT. So I've been very, very fortunate to find a teacher that brings my FMA, my interest in the HEMA work that's happening here, particularly the Bolognese, and the CLAT all together, right? So this is a sword art, and they focus on very specific things. But if he takes a nice slow cut here, right? I'm just going to show you again. That one. See what I'm threatening? I threatened him from the knee, through the hip, to the shoulder, right? And if he follows through, I'm out of range. Yeah? If I want to, if I get this right, yeah? I'm going to get through my cut, through his body, no problem. Another way that I might take this cut is to just cut the arm on the way in, or I might use this cutting to prevent him from cutting. And again, I should be at a range where even if he passes again, I'm going to have no problem. But they also do things like this, where I'm immediately on the cut and able to walk it. And this is, go ahead, some really fun stuff for me, because I know I'm going to be right on there. The blade engagements are such. And so this is something that we're adding to the program. It's interesting because all the stuff that we do, all the FMA, all the CLAT, it all has sword in it. But we've always been doing it with stick. And now I've come to meet some people where the sword is a sword. And so we're going to add that into the system. But I hope that this gave you an opportunity to see that as a JKD-based school, as a philosophy of studying multiple martial arts-based school, that looking at all these different martial arts, they allow us to see how they all have this commonality when it comes to strategies, when it comes to application. And it's from seeing all the different ways that these strategies and ideas can be applied that gives us the opportunity to have personal expression. So, hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you very much for your time.